top story, bureaucratic snarls, corruption and political apathy have resulted in the Indian military suffering shortages of high-end technology for years. From Bofors to Augusta to now the row over the Rafale deal. The casualty is the Indian Army, the Air Force and the Navy. Deals get pushed back by allegations and counter-allegations. For example, will the Congress scrap the Rafale deal if it comes to power? The question is, can we afford to use old technology for modern warfare? While the Indian Air Force, which is facing an acute shortage of combat jets, is in talks with Russia now for an immediate procurement of the MiG-29 aircrafts, which can be delivered at short notice. India plans to purchase 21 additional aircrafts to make a new squadron of the MiG-29 jets through a government-to-government purchase. The MiG-29, produced in the 1980s, will cost the Indian government less than 6,000 crores, and each jet will include weapon systems, training and supporting equipment that are required for a new squadron. However, the combat jets will not be produced afresh. The Indian Air Force is currently facing a dearth of fighter squadrons, and according to reports, the IAF is currently has only 31 air units compared to the sanctioned strength of 42. In September last year, the Air Force chief had categorically said that even with 42 squadrons, India will be below the combined numbers of two of our regional adversaries. And the MiG-29, developed in the 1980s, is considered superior to the previous versions of MiG-21, 23 and 27, which have seen frequent crashes and fatalities. Now, different variants of the MiG have been in use by the Navy, the Air Force and the Army for years. Most Indian pilots are trained on the MiG. We have infrastructure for the MiG, but not so many other fighter jets from across the globe. The Air Force has often admitted that these are only stopgap arrangements. Just on Tuesday, a MiG-27 fighter aircraft crashed in Rajasthan's Jaisalmer. The pilot, however, ejected safely. Now, on February 2nd, a Mirage 2000 crashed in Bengaluru during a sortie, killing both the pilots. Technology from France, but needing upgradation as well. The aircraft was on an acceptance shortly after an upgrade by the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. The government later said it was not a setback for the indigenous defence industry. But last week, India bought a sophisticated air defence system for an estimated cost of 190 million. Now, a move to enhance the security of planes flying the Prime Minister and the President. But it begs the question, are the lives of our soldiers any cheaper? And should VVIPs get more expensive aircrafts than our soldiers? The British Prime Minister Theresa May is taking questions in Parliament as we speak. She had asked lawmakers to hold their nerves for the Brexit deal that is acceptable to all. Opposition, however, alleges that Theresa May is trying to buy time so that lawmakers are left with two options: to either support her deal or leave the European Union without a deal. Now, the Prime Minister is also under fire from lawmakers after her top Brexit aide, who overheard were talking about plans to offer last-minute choices to MPs between May's deal and a long delay as well. Listen in.
It's entirely right and proper that this government is taking the action necessary to ensure that it's not our policy to have a no deal, it is our policy to get a deal. But should we be in that no deal situation, we need to ensure we have the capacity we need, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Mr. Speaker, Mariam is just 6 months old. She's beautiful. She was recently diagnosed with a devastating form of muscular dystrophy. Her brother had the same condition
And Mandy Clark, my colleague, is now joining us live from London for the very latest on, of course, Theresa May's, she's still in the middle of that Brexit deal. And Mandy, what's happening in Parliament today? We believe that she's under fire again for delaying, using this as possibly a delaying tactic. That's what the opposition is saying.
Well, the opposition has long accused her of that. She's always denied it. But the really damaging thing is apparently British TV reporter was in the same bar as one of her aides, who openly were talking to a number of colleagues in Brussels, and he literally said she's either going to present her deal or she's going to offer delaying Article 50, and a lot of Brexiteers do not want that because they feel like this is delaying the inevitable extension. Now, she's denied that is government policy, but certainly damaged her reputation because it makes people believe that she's simply running down the clock, leaving very little option for any other possibility. She hasn't brought back a plan to Parliament to vote on it because she hasn't got that deal yet. The big issues, as we know, are that Brexit backstop and also the customs union, as well as the borders. So she really hasn't sorted that out. That's a big worry. And people believe that she's playing with the clock and not giving the public the right to decide.
Right, Mandy. Thanks very much indeed for joining us with the latest there. And the Brexit saga continues there in Britain. In other news now, as Siberia shivers, you must imagine that it's time for dock workers at shipyards to take a break from work and the biting cold, but that's not the case. Workers are hard at work to fix ships and, yes, in ice. Now, Siberians can't afford to allow ships to lose time on maintenance in the short summer season. So as the Lena River freezes, dock workers at the shipyard brace for back-breaking work. It is a practice unique to Siberia. After all, ships must keep moving while the river, the economic lifeblood of the region, is passable. Essentially, repairs have to be undertaken in winter while the ships are wedged tight in the frozen river. Workers endure temperatures as low as minus 50 degrees Celsius as they chisel away the ice from the ship's hull with chainsaws and axes and hammers. At high season, they can earn up to $6,000 for the season.
Все идет по графику, по плану. Отставание у нас в этом году только 6%, в связи с тем, что декабрь у нас и начало января было теплое, промерзание идет слабо. Ну а так мы все успеваем. Сейчас вот начались морозы, сегодня 46, так что вообще прекрасно. Люди вышли на работу, работают, радуются.